Peace, 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 everybody. Woo, woo. It is Saturn Day, and you know what it is. You are here on Mr. Westbrook's channel on YouTube, UnRead Book Review with Nick and Roo, and we are happy to be back. This is episode 46. We missed you week before last. That's my bad. I was feeling a little under the weather, but we are back today better than ever with a surprise me episode. So you gonna be surprised, we gonna be surprised, we all gonna have a good time. As you know, here on UnRead, we always welcome everyone. So if this is your first time here, welcome. If you are coming back, welcome back. And we are just excited to share these books, these topics with you. And as always, you know we love when you share topics with us too. So don't forget to do that. Like I said, I'm your sister Roo. That is my brother Nick. We are here today, and we are ready to share some goodies, which, well, they're surprises. So, but we're sure they're goodies, right?
Oh yeah.
We are sure they're
is.
goodies. We are sure they're goodies. So, Nick, come on, how you feeling, man? It's summertime. We had a little heat wave. Then we had a storm. How you doing there, brother?
Yeah, well, first I want to say mine is certainly a goodie, once we get to it. But I am feeling amazing, wonderful, enjoying the summer and enjoying my polarity season, because it is Cancer season and Cancer is my polarity. So I'm embracing all of the things that my polarity season brings. And the heat. Yeah, we had a heat wave, but like you said to me offline, you'd rather have the heat wave than the snow. So I'm not complaining too much.
Not at all.
Yeah, but I'm feeling great. School's out. It's giving me much time to recover, rest, and also work on some projects and things that I put on the back burner, since school year was so busy. It's giving me some time to hang out and socialize too, rebalance my energy. So yeah, it's a great time. I'm feeling great. We missed the audience. I missed the audience the week before last. I missed you, Roo, the week before last. So I'm glad to be back, man. I was anticipating this. I couldn't wait to be back with the UnRead family. Didn't know what I was going to bring until today, but nevertheless, I was, I'm glad to be back, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
So you were surprised too.
Yeah, until a couple of hours ago. Yeah.
I love that, because I was too. And I'm so glad that you had this time now to sit back and enjoy with school being out. We had that weather, like I said, but it was a great opportunity to read, wasn't it? Saying, because first you had the extreme heat, you ain't want to be out there in that, and then those rainstorms were torrential rainstorms just coming down in buckets. So a lot of us were either flood warnings or whatever. So we had some time to enjoy the weather. It's Cancer season, it's nurture season. It's all kinds of nurturing going on. And I'm excited about that. And I'm sure the books we're going to bring today will help to nurture us a little bit more in a different kind of way. So, you excited about this season. Cancer season for me has always been interesting, to say the least. It's very watery. It's very watery. So, it's little, it's like, it's so funny. Me and my daughter, we call it wet towel season. It's like having a wet towel. Because it's warm, but it's wet, but it's cold, but it's not. What are you going to say? What are you going to do? But listen, I'm excited about the book that I brought today. Like I said, much like you, I didn't know what I wanted to bring. On a Surprise Me week, I be trying to surprise myself too. So I guess I did. And it's really funny because we are on episode 46. We've been doing this for a minute now. And sometimes I'll pick up a book and can't remember whether I brought the book before.
Hey,
I'm
I
like, this
listen.
is a really good book, and I bring it on, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, I already covered this book. But if I brought it
Yeah,
back again, it's a real good one, and I probably found something different in it that I want to share. So it's always fantastic and amazing to have these books and share them with our audience. Again, thank you, everyone. If this is your first time here, and if you are coming back, welcome back. So, Nick, I love for you to get started today for us. Just
yeah,
since your book is the newest, yeah, since yours is
yeah,
the freshest off the shelf today,
right.
let's see what you got going on. What you got
Yeah,
going on in that shelf over there?
yeah, yeah. Well, first, it's so funny that you said uh, you weren't sure if it's one that you brought previously, because I almost did that. I almost brought a book, and I'm like, wait a minute, this sounds very familiar. Let me go back through our playlist and check and see. And that's exactly what happened, because I was thinking, I was thinking about cancer season 2, because I didn't know what to bring. So I thought, maybe I should bring the intuition book. And I'm like, I feel like I brought that already. So I'm like, let me go back. And I'm like, and I did. I already brought the intuition book. So I almost brought a book that I offered previously. So what I ended up doing instead was I thought about what popped up in my memories a couple of days ago. So this book popped up on my memories in social media, on Facebook, because of course, if you follow me on social media, you know that I like to share books on there as well, books that I just finished reading. So one of my memories from, I believe it was 2 years ago, came up, either 2 or 3 years ago came up, and this is a book that I'm like, yeah, it came up in the memory, and I should offer it because it's actually one that I really need to revisit, for the practical tools that it has. And then you'll find that it's actually very relevant to the conversations we've been having offline. So my offering for episode 46 is the DNA field and the law of resonance. Subtitle, yep, a subtitle, Creating Reality Through Conscious Thought. And this is
That
by,
part.
yeah, and this is by Pierre Franckh or Frank. I'm not, I might be saying that last name wrong. It's either Franck or Frank. But yes, I read this book a couple of years ago, and like I said, it came up on in my memories, in my social media memories. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let me bring this back because I need to reread this either in part or altogether. And as I'm explaining what the law of resonance is and what this book is about, you'll start to understand why I want to revisit this work. But hold on, let me go over to the comments. So yeah, peace and blessings to Panoia Starseed podcast in the building.
Peace,
Peace.
Noya.
Yep. So the DNA field and the law of resonance. This is and this book, I think this book was gifted to, this book was definitely gifted to me. It's just a matter of remembering who gifted it to me. I think Roo gifted it to me, if I remember correctly. But it's categorized under New Age, quote unquote New Age and self-help. But it does have some scientific connections to it. So let's get into what the description says, and then we'll talk about what this fancy title means. Because the title sounds very scientific.
Very fancy, very fancy.
Very fancy. So it says sharing groundbreaking experiments on the influence of DNA on photons and on the interactions between emotions and DNA. Pierre Franckh explains how our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, whether positive or negative, build a field of resonance around us. Through this quantum field, our DNA is continuously communicating our unique vibration to those around us and receiving their unique oscillations in return. By focusing our intentions and removing negativity from our beliefs about ourselves, our past, and our future, we can use our DNA to communicate our thoughts and desires to the universe. Through focused thoughts and intentions, we draw the same resonant energy to us, thus bringing our intentions and desires into manifestation. The author shares success stories from the thousands who have taken his seminars and were then able to attract a soulmate, heal themselves or loved ones, or build wealth, sometimes remarkably quickly. He also describes how he discovered the law of resonance through his own self-healing from a degenerative spinal condition. Franckh provides practical exercises to remove inner and outer negative influences that could be blocking your desires, build a positive visualization of your goals, and increase the power of your field of resonance for quicker manifestation. In this inspiring guide to the law of resonance, the author shows how the power to manifest health, wealth, and happiness is within each of us, waiting to be unlocked within our DNA. And about the author, Pierre Franckh, he lectures around the world where his seminars are often sold out events. He's a best-selling author with more than 60 titles in print. He is also a coach and mental trainer with numerous clients in the business world, as well as doctors, psychologists, and complementary health professionals. And
wow.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Just even in the beginning sentences, I was like, oh, I know why he wanted to reread this. I know exactly.
You can tell.
But I wanted to let you know, check your mic because you had a little bit of mic feedback. So I don't know if that's something on your end, my end, or just in general right now. So just before you go further.
Okay.
Yes, I do. I need that book as well, sis. Believe me, it sounds real good, real good.
Yeah, she said, I'm not coming back. Y'all making my backpack heavy. Yes, we are.
You ain't seen nothing yet, little mama.
Yeah, we are negative influences for those of you who are trying to moderate your book collecting and purchasing. we are not good influences.
No, we are not. We are horrible influences. You will be at the bookstore all the time.
Yeah, so if you're one of those people that's saying, I need to cut down on buying books or collecting books, don't you might as well just click off of this channel and don't
hang out with us.
Don't come around. Yeah, don't come around us.
Oh, and most high forbid, don't be around us because we are.
Yeah, exactly.
Woo! We get together, it's a problem. It is a problem. It is a problem.
We are not. Yeah, so
that's right.
Yeah, so I just went into the settings and cut out the background noise. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I don't hear it right now. When you were working on it, I heard it, but I don't hear it right now. So I think you got it. So yes, tell us more about this fascinating work.
Okay, so let's talk about the law of resonance, like what it is first, because like I said, it's very fancy title, a very fancy name for this concept, and then I'll go into what's actually in the book. What I was actually getting ready to say was to give the publication information. So it was originally published in 2009 in German, actually, and then it was first published in the U.S. in English in 2014 by Destiny Books. Destiny Books, which is a division of Inner Traditions International. And then before I go into the contents, let's talk about the law of resonance. So I'm sure you were able to glean a little bit from the description of the book, but in other words, to kind of break down the law of resonance into layman's terms, the law of resonance, it has scientific roots, but it also has metaphysical roots. I think I'm starting to hear the sound you're talking about. So I'm not sure. Let me see. Maybe I'm moving too too many things around, but yeah, I do hear it now actually coming from. Yeah, I'm not sure where that's coming from, but
It's like static popping in the mic.
Yeah, I hear it. Okay, all right, well, I'll keep going now. Fool around with it as we're going along.
Thank you.
But yes, it has scientific roots, but it also has metaphysical and spiritual roots or connections as well. So what the law of resonance is, it's the idea that your external reality is a direct reflection of your internal state, like your thoughts, your emotions, your identity, rather than just your conscious desires. So it has a foundation in physics. So that's the branch of science. The branch of science is physics. And the law of resonance, according to physics, says that an external vibration matches an object's natural frequency, which causes it to vibrate with a higher amplitude. So, for example, an example of that, like a common or a layman's example of that, is the opera singer that sings and hits a note, and by hitting that note, that singer causes a glass to shatter. So that's an example in physics. Also, there's the resonance field. So the resonance field is when that energy or that frequency, that energy or frequency. Wait, let me go back to my notes because I gotta write this down. Listen, I didn't even take physics in high school. I told my guidance counselor to take that class off of my schedule because I was already taking calculus, history, English, and I was doing dual enrollment at the community college. So I'm like, yeah, you know, y'all trying to kill me my senior year. So I did not take physics. So I got to go back to my, you know, what I researched on Google about resonance. So okay, so in metaphysics, the law of resonance emphasizes shifting your internal identity to embody the reality you wish to experience, right? And more examples. Well, before I go to that, okay, so yeah, I think this is what I was looking for. So for this is it right here. Yeah, my notes are all out of order. So all of us, people, objects, they all give off a frequency or vibration, right? And when that vibration interacts with the universe, a resonance field is created. So that resonance field is almost like that energy or that aura that's around you, that surrounds you. And I'll talk about that as I get into the book. So there's different types of resonances. And one type of resonance is one that we would talk about offline called the Schumann resonance. and that resonance represents a global resonance field as compared to a resonance field given off by an individual object or a person. So with the Schumann resonance, those frequencies resonate from the earth. But this particular field of resonance, the DNA field, that talks about the energy that emits off of a person. Okay, so now, so examples from physics, other examples from physics of vibration and resonance, like a pendulum, for example. A pendulum swings back and forth. That's the oscillation. It oscillates back and forth. or wind pushing propellers. That's oscillation. Or when your children were much younger, before they were these big adults, and you took them to the park and you pushed them on a swing, that's another example. And or you have an oscillating fan, you press that button, it starts swinging back and forth, right? So going over to the metaphysical, spiritual side of it, being a resonance field or having a resonance field means that you're on the same frequency and you're in alignment with something or someone. It's kind of like that idea, what's understood don't need to be explained, right? Now, it's the bridge between the physical and the metaphysical. And again, it's an energetic vibration that influences our physical realm. Okay, so I got that. Now, I'll say this one last thing, and then I'll actually go into the book. All right. There is a distinction and a difference between the law of resonance and the law of attraction, because most people are familiar with the law of attraction. But people who study the law of resonance, a lot of them actually hold the law of resonance superior to the law of attraction. But this is how the difference is described. This is the distinction between the law of resonance and the law of attraction. The law of attraction focuses on wanting external desires, while the law of resonance emphasizes shifting your internal identity to embody the reality you wish to experience. So that's the difference between the law of attraction and the law of resonance. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now going back to the book, so the book is broken up into two parts. Discoveries that changed our world is part one, and effective ways to come into resonance with your wishes is part two. So part one covers topics such as the meaning of resonance, how we really send out our wishes, how our beliefs change, or how can our beliefs change the outside world? How do our wishes become reality? How do affirmations work? And can matter be changed by the power of thought? And then in part two, just to name a few, then in part two, effective ways to come into resonance with your wishes, it starts off with asking, what resonance field do you exist in? And other topics discuss how the brain is malleable and the power of affirmations, and using the healing power of sound, and how someone can heal oneself with the power of thought, and how to build a resonance field for your ideal partner. How can old beliefs be transformed? Just to name a few of those topics in there. And then, so you start to pick up on the reason why I want to reread this book. But the other reason why I want to reread this book is because I admit sometimes I have the bad habit of reading a book and not applying the principles, reading a book and then just moving on to the next thing. And that's exactly what I did with this book. I read the book. I actively read the book. I read the book and actively read it by marking passages in it, which I'll share some of those, but I never actually tried out the techniques in the book. So that's why I want to revisit the book, because there are some things that I do desire to attract. And a life that I do desire to build. You know, I want to see if this law of resonance can heal my hernia that I got right now, so I don't got to get cut open. I want to try that out. I want to attract wealth, you know, just to, you know, I want to attract the right people into my life. I mean, which I'm already doing, but of course, there's always room for improvement. So going into some of the ideas and some of the passages that I met that I've annotated and highlighted in here, you'll hear some repeated ideas related to, you know, as a man and as a woman thinketh in the mind. So very similar to that. Like I said, it's similar to the law of attraction, but it's not exactly the same. You know, similar to The Secret, similar to James Allen, similar to Joseph Murphy with the power of the subconscious, with the subconscious mind. And that's another reason why I want to reread this book. I want to compare those two works because this subtitle talks about conscious thought, but Joseph Murphy's work talks about the subconscious mind. So I'm curious to how those techniques differ between using the conscious mind and using the subconscious mind. But just to go to the first passage that I marked, coming from the section on how do we really send out our wishes. It's funny, you were talking about cancer season and feelings, right? This passage that I highlighted here, it says the heart generates an energy field that is greater in size than the energy field of the brain. So the heart space creating a more magnified or amplified energy field than the mind. So how we feel plays a significant role in the energy that we send out. And since it's an oscillating energy, the energy that we send out is the energy that we attract. And let's see what else we have in here. And then there's another way that this book is set up is that there's quotes at the beginning of each of the chapters by different individuals, whether they're spiritual or scientists, like that. I think that chapter that I was just on had a quote from Albert Einstein. This chapter has a quote from Buddha. Can matter also be changed by the power of thought? And the Buddha quote that I highlighted up here says, "We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world." And let's go over to page 72. When resonance fields hinder your further development, this chapter talks about who you surround yourself with and by. And in order to create a resonance field that attracts what you truly desire, you have to surround yourself with the right people, or surround yourself with the people who motivate you. So it says, surround yourself only with people who believe in you, who are convinced of your strength, who see that wonderful talent in you, who recognize your potential, who connect with your visions and further these visions. And then on the next page, I highlighted a couple of lines that say you can quickly determine if the people who surround you truly give you a feeling of strength, or if they limit you and infect you with feelings of inadequacy. And they give you some steps, some simple, quick steps in order to make that determination about the people and the energies that surround you. It says, in order to do this, to make that determination, first thing you can do is write down the names of all your friends, acquaintances, and relatives. The next thing is note next to the name the characteristics you pick up from these people. For example, supportive, funny, cheerful, inspiring, constantly critical, judgmental, and jealous. And then the last bullet point is don't overthink it, right? The first thing that comes to your mind, the first thing is always the right thing. If you think about it too long, it could be that your mind is trying to meddle and qualify everything. Yep. So I thought that was pretty significant. Surround yourself with people who are sympathetic towards you and who send you appreciation, respect, and support. And I highlighted some of the bullet points under that section. And it advises you to be aware and love and treat yourself with full appreciation. The more you do this with purpose, the quicker you will change your environment. So it also talks not only about those external energies and people that speak over you, but how you speak and regard yourself. And the greatest aid to entering a desire resonance field is to encourage others in their own dreams. The more one gives, the more one gets back, because actions always draw in similar actions. You will be quickly surrounded by people who mirror your inner generosity and also want to help advance you. Yeah. Rael said, Rael said, this is what we talked about last night. Wow. And I didn't even watch the live last night. Yeah, I couldn't catch it because I was running late on my live stream, so I actually missed it. I got to watch the replay. So this is how you know this wasn't even planned. Like, we're just right in alignment.
Always in point. Always on point.
Yep. Now we have to understand that when we're considering the external energies around us, that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to abandon our family and the people around us. You know, if those are negative energies surrounding you. So as it says here, this does not mean that you must immediately abandon your family in order to realize your wishes. It does mean that you need to add to your life those people who will support you in your wishes. So who you surround yourself is very important to attracting what you desire. Yeah. Now there's a chapter called Surrender to the Field of Resonance. And the block quote here says that when you cannot get out of the field, get out of the cycle of fear and worry, then at least for a short while, simply leave the physical location that is keeping you in that oscillation.
Yeah.
We all have experience. Yep. We all have experienced how quickly our perspective can change with a change of scenery.
Yes.
For example, after a vacation, we often come back full of new ideas, visions, and realizations that we collected while we were away. And I've noticed that too from experience, that sometimes you have to take a step back in order to take 2 steps forward. Like, you're trying to continue to push forward, but you need to get away, step away, take that vacation, and you find that you'll come back refreshed, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. And then this chapter closes out with considering which of your wishes you would like to realize next and which places you seek out. So So this is talking about not only seeing it and feeling it on a spiritual and emotional level, but also experiencing it on the physical level. So for example, if you would like to be married, you should try on wedding dresses. Test drive the car that you have your heart set on, even if you can't afford it right now. Visit apartments in neighborhoods where you would like to live. Get into extensive discussions at the travel agency if you want to travel. Internet forums are also good places to find an energy from others that supports you in your wishing.
Yes.
Don't just keep your wishes inside you. Let them lead you into an actual physical experience.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. There's also a chapter that I thought was significant that really stood out to me on how the resonance field is affected by the news media.
And we wonder why we don't watch or read the news. This is why.
Exactly, because it's affecting you. And I'm absolutely sure that it's deliberate too. It's all by design. You know, it's after we hear the worst things imaginable, accompanied by the cruelest images that could be gathered from around the world, the news anchor smiles and wishes us a good night. What would a good night look like? It says TV news and newspapers are the best transmitters of fear, stirring up our collective anxiety and strengthening our disillusionment. Through them, we remain in a perpetual state of anxiety and self-protective fear, which our body can become overwhelmed by. Reading the newspaper or watching the evening news, we are guaranteed to always feel weaker and more powerless, no longer seeing things with any kind of perspective. Remember, like attracts like.
Right.
So if we're caught up in that energy of fear, those are the experience. We draw up and bring up experiences that confirm those fears. And even more than that, and this isn't in this book, but even our alternative media does this.
Absolutely.
Our quote unquote conspiracy theorist forums and content does this too. It could be
fear-mongering.
It could be well intentioned by informing us of what's really going on, but it still drives fear. Call it fear mongering. So it all applies. So that was a significant chapter. I highlighted some other passages in there, but for time, I'm going to move on to a couple more chapters. So I'm going to skip. So there's a chapter on healing oneself through the power of thought. And there's a paragraph here. The author was talking about one of his clients. I believe it was a conversation. Well, no, this is a conversation that he had with a shaman. Mm-hmm. And the part of the conversation that I highlighted, it says, you speak with so many people. This is what the shaman is saying to the author. You speak with so many people, and I have observed you. You can speak very well with others. Why don't you talk to yourself? Why do you believe the doctors are specialists more than yourself? No one has a greater influence on ourselves than ourselves. I will never give someone else the responsibility for my own body. I will always want to hold that in my own hands. But that is your decision, of course. And this is what the
shaman fired.
This is what the shaman said to the author of the book.
Shots fired.
In this chapter on healing oneself.
Indeed. Message.
Message.
Rael, message. Yes.
That's right. And then there's a chapter on here on attracting your ideal partner by building your resonance field. And and if you one of those people out there that's talking about, you know, why do I keep on attracting these type of men, these type of women? The only people who will be attracted to you are those who mirror exactly what you send out.
Woo!
So, and then there's a question that it says, how can we invite the right partner into our life? So I'll run through these real quick because people always want to know about relationships and love and all of that. So I'll take a little bit of time on this. So the best way to avoid all the usual pitfalls is to consider which resonance field we are creating at any given time. One can find this out relatively easily. It only requires that you be truly honest with yourself. Besides, you cannot deceive your own resonance field. And you do this by examining which people are around you at this time. Then you will know what kind of energy you are sending out. Examine your thoughts regarding relationship. Is partnership something that seems wonderful to you or something that makes you feel stressed? Ask yourself, would a relationship enrich me or would it cause me stress?
That part.
Are you truly open and ready for an intimate relationship, or do you have reservations? Are you really a quote unquote relationship person, or are you following some sort of program you think you want to fulfill without really knowing whether this is something you truly want? Is there anything that you strongly feel you do not want to experience? These are precisely the kinds of situations that you will probably attract because you have not let go of your fears. You are energetically holding yourself in the resonance of fear, of your fear. Is it easy for you to imagine being with a partner in a relationship, or do disturbing images arise when you visualize? These kind of disturbing thoughts and images are the energies that you are sending out because they reflect your beliefs. Remember, convictions sent out from the heart have 5,000 times the strength of the thoughts sent out from the brain.
Yes.
Now those are you know, there's a few more. There's three more. What are you ready to offer in a relationship? Think about what makes you, your strengths and weaknesses, and begin reconciling yourself with your weaknesses, and your future partner will do the same, and draw into your life that which you are. As soon as you accept this, you will be an authentic person and will draw into your life a partner that suits who you really are. Most of all, someone who isn't hiding something from you, because you aren't hiding from yourself.
Ooh, that part.
Yeah. And skipping ahead, I'm going to share two more things, maybe one or two more things. Yeah, two more things from this book, and then I will land my plane for this offering. Bring about enduring change through positive thinking. That's what this chapter comes from. And yeah, can you bring about enduring change in the world through positive thinking? That's the name of this chapter. Opens with a quote from Thomas Edison. But I highlighted this and I put an exclamation point next to it. I don't remember why, but we about to find out why. The truly surprising thing that these experiments revealed is that fewer people are needed to increase peace in an area than one would think. Okay, so this is talking about a meditation experience that people did, a meditation experience from 1974 with a group of meditators selected in Jerusalem, Israel, as a whole, in Lebanon. And they were talking about the power of meditation and its impact on the reduction in crime, and the decrease in war and deaths and things of that nature. So that's what this passage is referring to, just to give the context. So the truly surprising thing that these experiments revealed is that fewer people who are needed to increase peace in an area so the experiments revealed that fewer people are needed to increase peace in an area than one would think. Approximately 1% of the population or less. That means that with a population of 1 million, only 100 people are required to shift the consciousness of an entire group. And in our entire world population of approximately 7 billion people would need only about 85,000 meditators to shift the consciousness of the entire planet.
Absolutely.
That's why. Exclamation point. Bomb drop on that one.
Yes. Bang, bang, bang. Definitely.
So when only a small portion of the population creates inner peace within themselves, this is quantitatively mirrored in the environment. The power of our own beliefs potentiates when a group has common beliefs and radiates these outwardly. So those national or international moments and days of meditation, and just think about all of the evils that go on in the world and how it can be an exercise in futility with some of these methods that people are using, such as, and not limited to, and of course, no offense to anybody that does any of these things, but let's say, for example, writing letters to your congressman or making picket signs and marching, after the police kill a black child or something like that. What might happen if 1,000 people decide to meditate at the same time instead of marching, something like that? Just something to think about there.
I mean, that's what quote unquote visuals was supposed to be for.
That's a good point.
But everybody's mind and energy is not in the same place. Just because they did don't mean they did.
Right. They there physically.
And that's how you know.
Yeah, they're there physically, but they may not be there metaphysically.
And they may look like you, but they don't put out the same vibration as you.
Yeah. Because remember on Juice, Bishop came to the repast.
What?
He was there hugging his mama.
Hey, what? Absolutely.
So the book closes on, well, actually it doesn't close on, but the second to the last, or one of the last chapters of this book, which I thought was significant and I marked it, is the power of forgiveness. Every forgiveness brings a new beginning.
Amen.
And the part that I highlighted and put an exclamation point next to it.
Yes.
It says, when you do not forgive others, they still have power over you. As long as you do not forgive and let go of old injuries, you will have no new wonderful experiences in your life. You will remain in the resonance field of revenge and sadness, and you will draw these kinds of experiences into your life. Therefore, it is essential that we allow ourselves, after a period of mourning, to realign again in our life and move forward to build new visions. Don't give the past more power. Otherwise, it will determine your life. Of course, we are allowed to be sad because only the sadness helps us release the relevant emotions.
Right?
So
get rid of that frequency. Absolutely.
Get rid of that frequency. So
that is a fascinating book, yo.
Offering.
I'm like, just so y'all know, he'll have all that information right down beneath this in there, so you can get that. I mean, I don't know anyone that heard anything you said that wouldn't want that book. It was so many times I wanted to say something. It was just like, all right, I'm gonna wait. All right, I'm gonna wait. All right, I'm gonna wait. But I mean, from the beginning, when you talked about the difference between the attraction versus the resonance itself, you know what I'm saying? The law of attraction and the law of resonance, in that very first part you talked about, the first thing I said to myself is, it's the difference of wanting a thing versus being a thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's on that. It's like, do I want to find love, or am I love? You know what I'm saying? Do I need to draw money to me? Do I need to attract money, or am I money? You know, I remember, Reverend Ike used to say, I am money. You know what I'm saying? I am wealth. I am health. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to attract these things. I am these things. So it's that difference between the law of resonance and the law of attraction. So I really appreciated that from the opening of the book. And it just kept getting more fascinating. I mean, I could literally give you some input on each part that you read, because it was so very relevant. And I mean, I can definitely see why, you would want to revisit it. And, as we tell people, when we bring you unread, these are not just unread books on our shelves. These are books on our shelves that sometimes we read them and we don't get the full benefit of them. So we got to go back. Or these are reference books that you keep forever and you continue to go back to them. Because I can guarantee you, no matter how many times you go back to that book, you'll find a level deeper that you can go to just in that in itself. So amazing offering. I mean, it wasn't a part you mentioned that wasn't fire. So I definitely want that one. You don't have to put that in my basket of a million books.
Yeah, your wish
My
list.
wish list. Anybody that knows, if you ever want to give me tools and books, these are the things I like. And toys. And don't forget toys. And don't forget toys and toys. But wow, what a great offering. Now, you said that print on that in English was in 2012?
2014.
Oh, okay, 14.
Yes, 2014 was the English edition.
Because I've never heard of that author.
Yeah. So it's originally published in German. So I'm not sure if he's German himself.
Germany. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's German himself, but
but it was in the German language then.
German language, yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I just got a new German dictionary for myself.
Yeah, matter of fact, I got the translation information.
Oh wow, that's nice.
Yeah, translated by Ida Cephik Williams.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I've never heard of that author. It's not like you're ever going to hear of all the authors in the world, but when you start to get into a certain field, authors' names come up, more than others. And I've never heard of him. So you said 60 titles he has, so I'm sure he has a wealth of information in there that's a different perspective from what we would get here in the West. So I look forward to seeing what he has to say.
Yes, he is German. I just looked him up. So yes, he is German.
Yeah, I definitely, I know a lot of people don't jive and mess with Hitler or really do that thing, but I love history. And and one of the things I have to say is a lot of the science, that metaphysical science and stuff, was really at work there in that land. Like, they really studied, and on a different level too. You know what I mean? Hitler himself was known to be quite the occultist.
So, yes, the master teachers definitely taught that too.
Yeah, and that they understood the law of changing energy and creating an energy of fear. They counted on that. They counted on being able to breed that into the energy field, you know, and have them on that one alignment. And that's what made them a mighty force until they wasn't, you know.
Yes. Yep.
But fascinating book. Definitely want that one. Definitely want that one. Definitely want that one.
Yeah, yeah. This is a must. This is a must read. Highly recommended for sure.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I mean, well, that's the end of the show, fellas. You know, listen. Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? But to say that, you know, we can't never bring no books without them having some kind of alignment. So, you know, I'm already over here like. But before I bring my work, well, first of all, is there anybody in the audience that got something they want to ask about the book? I mean, this is a fascinating book, y'all. If you got some questions, you got the brother right here with the book in hand.
Yeah, no, no questions as of yet. Just just Rael being silly, talking about I fear being a billionaire. I'm so scared.
I know that's right, sis. I know that's right. My library got a library.
Oh, that's so
Definitely.
funny.
But
that might backfire on you though, saying you fear being a billionaire.
Yeah,
like,
you
all
know.
right. Like, all right, you fear being a billionaire, we won't make you one then.
you ready to be a billionaire. You ready to be a billionaire for sure. But all right, so again, y'all, this is Unread Saturn Day, episode 46. Your sister Roo and your brother Nick here bringing you another episode of Unread. This surprised me week. Nick just brought the bing bang, you know what I'm saying, talking about the resonance and all the good things. That was the other thing I thought of. Birds of a feather flock together. You know, I even thought about one of the hadiths from Islam that talks about friends. And they said that if you're friends with a blacksmith, you smell like soot. And if you're friends with a perfumer, you smell like sweet perfume. So, you know, you do with that what you will. You know what I'm saying? So a great offering, Nick, and that, you know, like I said, all that information will be beneath us. You pick up these books, y'all, even if you don't, or if you're not able to get them now, start yourself a wish list. There's nothing wrong with doing that. So do that for yourself. So before I bring my actual offering this week, because like we said, it was a surprise week, and many times we're surprised ourselves at what we bring. We don't know what we're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? But me, you know, anybody that know me and my girl self, you know, I'm always trying to be prepared. So earlier in the week, I had picked the book and I said I'm gonna use this one for Unread. And on Friday, I was taking a look at the book, like, well, no, excuse me, on Wednesday night, I was taking a look at the book and I was like, well, what am I going to bring about this on Saturday? And I started reading the book and I was mad. And I was like, this is a stupid book. You know? I was like, why did I have this book? What is wrong? You know, and you know, I know after I opened the book and I was really getting into, I remember why I got it. But again, you have to remember some of the books that Nick and I are bringing to you, some of them we bought, some were gifted to us, some were found, some were, you know, finds at, you know, thrift shops or all kinds of places. And anybody that knows, I get a lot of books from the library. Library gives me free books all the time, right? So, but this particular book, as you can see, was well loved, right? This is a book by David M. Potter called People of Plenty, Economic Abundance and the American Character. It says a fresh and convincing demonstration of the effects of economic abundance on a distinctive American character, right? So this is a Phoenix book series. Now, mind you, when this book came out, it was $1.50. So that's telling you something just right there in itself. Book is old as Methuselah, right? So we got this book. It was copyrighted and published in 1954. It's a first Phoenix edition, and it's part again of a series of books in this Phoenix series. So I asked myself, well, what was I thinking about when I got this book? Like, I usually get books with pretty much with some intention behind it. If I'm using it for a class, or if I'm using it for research for myself, or a paper that I'm writing or something. But I was like, just off the bat, I couldn't remember. But when I started to read into it and look at some of the annotations that I had in the book, I realized quickly that I had picked this book up with the intention of using it in a writing class that I was in years ago. I used to do this writers group where we would get together and we would build characters, learn how to write a background story for them, etc., etc. And in this one here, the reason why I ended up throwing the book, and anybody that knows me knows that is against the law. We don't throw books. I literally threw this book when I was reading and I really understood. And again, this is why we go back and we reread things, people, because we see things that we didn't see before because our eyes were closed, and we were ignorant to the systemic racism and other things that affected things like the economics and the American character through economics back in those days that they were talking about. So I'm reading through and I realized what they're trying to build in this book basically is a way of establishing themselves in the West, on North America, if you will, and putting themselves there without any connection to to being immigrants. So in other words, making an American its own thing, as if it wasn't people already always here. And I realized that's what that book was saying in so many words. And I was like, I don't like this. And I tossed it. And that just let y'all know, guys, every book is not a winner. It's a winner for what it's for, but the rest of it, you be like, this is trash. And it goes back to one of the things that Nick and I used to talk about in the beginning of UnRead, when my grandmother always let us know that every book is valuable. And inside of every book is 99 lies and one truth. And it's your obligation to go in and find the one thing that you resonate with. So with that being said, I won't get rid of the book. I just tossed it a little bit, but it'll be all right. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So my actual offering for this week, I too was thinking about cancer season and couldn't remember if I had brought this other book or not. So this one is one of the ones I use for personal use, professional use. It is a reread. It was gifted to me by one of my colleagues because we were filling out for a grant to do some work in the community in the agriculture field in the Saskatchewan area, and it's a banger. It's a banger, and it's one of these books that's so deep where it's like, I'm going to tell you what it says it encompasses, but then I'm going to show you the metaphysical connection. So my offering this week is The Ecology of Care, Medicine, Agriculture, Money, and the Quiet Power of Human and Microbial Communities by Didi, Pierre.
Ooh, Ecology of Care.
Okay. Now, you see that encompasses a lot.
Yeah.
Because what this book is talking about, the ecology of this land and us as a people, right? And how it's all connected to our medicine, connected to our agriculture, connected to our money, connected to the quiet power of the human itself, and the microbial communities, the micro community around us, right? So this book, like I said, was gifted to me, and it's by Didi, Pierre, who is published through Mycelium Books. uh and this one here was on November 20th, 2013. The first drafts of this book were available, excerpts, because these were peer papers at first, peer papers put together a a book as a whole, a reference, and turned into something truly great and truly expansive. um I love the fact that they even mentioned in the very beginning that they have a chapter on Cuban healthcare. And anybody that knows or has checked out the healing chambers know that we talk about Cuba and Haiti and the work that they do in medicine that we very rarely hear about, because of the fact that we're made to think that they are behind us in medicine when many times they are in front of us. Cuba helped to almost single-handedly changed the child infant mortality rate just through research they did on their own, and went and did work on their own quietly and helped Haiti in one of its greatest crises. So we have more babies being born in Haiti thanks to the work of the youth and the scientists of Cuba. So shout out to Cuba. um Much like your book, it has many little quotes in the beginning from different kinds of peoples, right? And this one is from Mother Teresa. It says, "If we have no peace, it's because we have forgotten that we belong to each other." Is that we have forgotten that we belong to each other. We are one. We are one. We are one. And so, like I said, this book, excuse me, one of the things that I love is that it it takes everyday things and it connects us to the applicable type things that you're able to do now, and that we see now. And that one step further I was talking about taking it is we can see the metaphysical aspect of it as well, because we are familiar with that deeper layer. You know what I mean? So here they go pretty deep because they show us the ancient relationships, you know, between man and germ and disease and the land and all these different things like that. But it's the I think it's the way in which these things are connected. The author does a really, really good job, and I want to give you a little bit about her before I go into her work. So Didi Pershouse is the founder of the Center for Sustainable Medicine, where she developed a model for systems based on ecological medicine that restores health to individuals as well as to the social and natural communities around them. Over the past 22 years, her healthcare practice has expanded in its scope from treating individual patients to treating whole systems. In addition to raising two sons and seeing patients in Thetford Center in Vermont, she also travels and teaches around the continent with the Soil Carbon Coalition. She teaches about the interrelationships between healthy soil, shifting weather patterns, economic forces, human health, and trains community leaders in self-care, peer support, and develops curricula about biological work and landscape function. She works with farmers and ranchers to restore the living systems that run the underground carbon and water cycles that make life on this planet possible. Now, she's pretty awesome. We had the pleasure, I had the pleasure of working with her and her work because of the work that I was doing with Sarah in the Small Farms program. I met a lot of farmers myself and ranchers, and when I say that you really get to see how the world works from the level of where does my food come from, so that means what is the soil like, what is the water like, what is the, and I mean, and when you really start to see how all those things work together, we realize that we need to work together better in order to have a better system and a model of care. And that's what she did. She took those principles of the land and keeping the land healthy and getting the land healthy to making ourselves healthy. So in other words, we are the soil, and then the blood is the water, and then the water inside of us is the water, and how these things work, and it's an amazing work. And she does some uh excellent explanations about how this ecological medicine is not new but old. And so one of the first chapters is kitchen medicine. You are what you eat. So all those herbs and things that we use, that our grandparents used when they would make the, what do you say, chicken soup for the soul. They putting all these fresh herbs and everything in there. This, she's showing us that this is one of the first places that we learn that you can start to use the land and the body in tandem and work together, right? So, you talked about in your book about that resonance and understanding that, if this many people was getting together and doing a thing, how it can change and shift the energy because of what's being drawn in and what's already there. The same thing applies with working with the land, and being in touch and grounded with the land. You hear a lot of people talk about grounding right now, putting their hands down into the soil, digging their feet into the soil. This concept is the same as taking these herbs. So when we do these herbal cleanses and then we go out and we ground, we're basically doing what we do in the kitchen, right? So it talks about the effect of the soil and the water on the brain, the radioactivity in the air, the dirty cows and whiskey sludge. That's what she calls them. um, the parallels between the industrial agriculture and industrial medicine, and how the desire and greed of the pharmaceutical companies put a strain on the farming communities to be able to push out more things, which fed the industrial machine, which led to a lesser product because now you're adding things to make what you have stretch further. And again, this is all in relation to self-care. So, I mean, if I'm now, before I was going outside and picking the greens and eating the greens, but now I done picked the greens, processed the greens, sent them somewhere. They done add additives to them so they could break them down. Now they mixing it with something else and pushing it and smashing it into a form, which means they need something that has self-preserving, qualities to it. So giving it long shelf life, and now I'm giving that to you versus just pick the herb out the ground. You tell me which is going to, help you heal faster and more efficiently. You know what I mean? But it was that demand by the industrial, pharmaceutical companies that put the industrial need there for, excuse me, that was using that farm energy and no longer allowing those small farms to flourish. It was a real push, and it's still affecting us now. This is why some of the small farms are not doing well now, because they can't produce at that level that allows them to compete with the companies that supply the pharmaceutical companies. And now a lot of the pharmaceutical companies have their own farms, so they took from um our own self-care and our own will to survive of growing our own food, and they took it and they found a way to do it faster and bigger for the benefit of feeding it back to you in the form of poison. Um, Again, it talks about ancient relationships beyond germ theory, talks about hygiene, which, recently that's been a thing in social media. You got these videos going around of people talking about they only take a bath every 28 days and things like that. And so it talks about that and how it throws off the ecosystem, and obviously it's not tending to self-care. And that wasn't what she was addressing in here, but it is definitely relevant because she talks about the hypothesis of the fact that they went from um, a state where they weren't very sanitary to having all these restrictions of being sanitized and you can't use this and you can't use that, but then they go back and they add something else or they don't do anything at all, and how that shift has again thrown off the ecosystem, which then throws off, you know what I'm saying, in relation to self-care. So chapter 3 is medicine, money, and the global pie, profiting from illness, just like I was talking about, creating illnesses, the power of advertising, why people are always trying to sell, and the working class. And then it starts to move into Eastern medicine, talking about the rise in the reemergence of acupuncture in Chinese medicine. One of the things that I wanted to highlight here was chapter 4, and that's on page 106. And Nick, you'll know right away why I picked this one to bring out. Chapter 4: Who defines normal? Rediscovering our inner compass. And it gives a little quote here by the psychiatrist Julie Holland that says, if medicated means complacent, it helps no one. When we are over medicated, our emotions become synthetic. For personal growth, a satisfying marriage, and for more peace or more peaceful world, what we need is more empathy, compassion, receptivity, emotionality, and vulnerability, and not less. So, again, that empathy, compassion, receptivity, and emotionality and vulnerability. And we talked about that, rediscovering our inner compass. And we, over on our human rights thing, we talked that we finished out on our, defining that compass and finding, and defining and finding that compass in ourselves. So this was relevant to that. But here it's talking about the inner compass and the ethics of medicine, and how because of the lack of ethics in some places, they are allowed to produce and give things that are harmful to people knowingly. So it talks about pharmaceutical marketing tactics, and the incidence of mental illness escalating, how now all of a sudden, everybody is talking about mental illness and being diagnosed and treated for something, or being told that they need to have some kind of medication to function day to day. And it talks about farmer brains versus hunter-gatherer brains and the difference between those, and again balancing that system, that being able to understand that the effects of what's going on in our climate, especially right now. We just saw, what was that, on the 4th of July, they had the storms on Coney Island, Far Rockaway, Asbury, a couple of other places had these tremendous sandstorms, windstorms out of nowhere, just picked up, and then you had these places with this heavy flooding over in China as well. You know, mudslides, all this stuff. All this stuff is a direct effect of the fact that forgetting that we are part of this world. Like Mother Teresa said, we forgot that we belong to each other. We can't survive without the earth, but I can guarantee you the earth will survive after us.
Mm-hmm.
It will, just
Yep.
because it will. You know what I mean? It won't have anybody stripping it and mistreating it. You
Yeah, yeah.
understand?
Yeah, I'm about to
It
say
won't.
not only will it survive, but it'll thrive even better.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, you know, these books that we bring, you know, um, sometimes they are more technical reads or research based. Like I said, these some of this is research work that had been done by this woman and other people that she had worked with, you know. And so it's not one of those books you're going to sit down and read cover to cover, but you can go in and extract information. Like I said, we just talking about the water. You know, I saw a video recently about AI, and they were talking about the effects of it on the water. And then here in the chapter on climate, water, and health, it says water, the basis of human health. Civilization has been a permanent dialogue between human beings and water. And this is by Paulo Lugari, the founder of the Eco Village in Colombia. And then it says, he said, she said, as I continued researching climate and health, it became clearer and clearer to me that water was not only the key issue with climate, it was the key issue with the future of healthcare as well. Building a future in which people, animals, and lands could be healthy and resilient would involve addressing the moment and the movement and distribution for water for crops, farms, and people worldwide. And then she said she came across a government document called the Intelligence Community Assessment on Global Water Security. And it was put together in 2012 by the Central Intelligence Agency and the Defense Intelligence Agency and a few others, including Homeland Security and the National Counterterrorism Center. And so she says, and she puts in quotes here, obviously, it is a very important document. So, in other words, it's like, if you ain't got this document, you might want to go get this document.
Might want to get your hands on that.
You might want to read this. But you know, she basically summarizes that it talks about by 2030, humanity's annual global water requirements will exceed the current sustainable supplies by 40%. And she said, I wondered, I love that. And anybody that's, I wondered, yeah. She said, I wondered, why was the intelligence community so interested in water? She said, it seemed like something that the other part of the government, like the Environmental Protection Agency, should be writing about. She got a little sarcasm in her.
Yeah. Yep. She got some
I
jokes.
like the way she write. Yeah. She like, you might want to take a look at this, you know, and she goes on to say some more things. But as you can see, you know, she goes into some more detail about the health part of it, and it's an impact on the climate, and she gives some numbers here, you know, and things like that, talking about you know, kilowatts per year, and how much, you know, societal damage. At one point, it talks about $2.5 million worth of societal damage just through the emissions of carbon monoxide and other pollutants. from the electricity. And so we were talking about these whole data centers and AI fields and all these things like that. People should ask those kind of questions. What effect is this having on everything? And then it talks about soil and filtering water and the intelligence of soil. People don't think of the earth as a living place, a living thing, a thing that's alive. But every anybody that's tried to do any kind of farming or growing anything knows that every soil is different. And every soil can't support everything. So when you trying to grow something specific to a region, it'll thrive better if it's one that is for that region. If not, you're gonna have difficulty, and there will be some things that are, if it grows at all, that make it weaker because it doesn't have all the true elements that it needs to be able to function. And the same thing with us and our bodies, our ecosystem, our body having everything it needs to function, properly, and putting the proper food, the proper seeds into this soil, the things we need inside of us to keep our ecosystem, in balance. So the intelligence of the soils. And this ties to me for the emotion part of it, where we were talking about being able to get that energy out of the body. You know what I'm saying? The soil, one of the places that I started to do a lot of research when I was working with Sarah was I took a soil remediation course. And in that soil remediation course, we learned about taking soil that nothing was able to grow in and how to bring it back to life. you know. But in order to do so, we had to remove like deep weed roots, we had to remove rocks, branches. We had to keep digging down in there deeper and deeper to get to a level where we can clear it out and start brand new. And so the intelligence of the soil is that once its blockages are cleared, it can do what it do. You understand what I'm saying? The same thing with the resonance field that you were talking about. When those blockages are removed, it can flow like it flow, and you won't have to attract anything to you. You are the thing. And the same thing with the soil, and the same thing with us and our health, and bringing our health back into balance. And that's the other thing you talked about there with the resonance. So like I said, even when we don't plan our books to be able to work together, they do. But I won't keep going on and on again about this, because again, it is a more technical kind of book. And so but what I will tell people, if you are interested in learning more about the like the environmental revolution, and the steps and things you can take, and the tips from wisdom tradition and stuff like that, you will this is a good one for you. This is a really good one for you, because you'll be able to keep going back to this over and over again. And it talks about here, check this out. um the it's called strengthening connections, how mindfulness changes the brain. And then it talks about a regular practice of mindfulness increases the brain size regions that are related to attention and sensory processing. When we sitting down working on that resin, you need that, and all these things. It decreases anxiety. And then it says students who go through a mindfulness training program show improved academic performance, feel more relaxed when taking tests, are calmer and less aggressive with each other, sleep more soundly, and are more focused. And then it says parents who practice mindfulness describe increased satisfaction with their parents and more social interactions with their children, less stress, and more closeness as a couple. I think that's interesting.
Very.
And it even goes into some of the practices taught in Sufism, contemplative Christianity, Taoism, Tibetan Buddhism, native earth-based spirituality, and the Kabbalah. So you got a little bit of everything in here. When I say she really pulled the ecosystem together and tied it to the land and being able to work with the actual soil itself. She did a great job. So, yep, Didi Pershouse, The Ecology of Care. Yep.
Very.
The Ecology of Care.
Yes, yes.
All right. So
Yeah. I just want to say, wow, that's really fascinating, and that she connects the land, or she approaches this topic of the land from a holistic perspective. So the physical land being connected to the spiritual and the emotional. Like, yeah, that's very fascinating. And then all of those spiritual systems that you were just mentioning at the end, and how that all ties into that. That's fascinating, but it makes a lot of sense, because that seems more of a Western thing to separate them, but the indigenous peoples of the land, they never separated them. You know, like I think about things such as certain rituals and dances, you know, for the rain and for the crops and all of that. And yeah, and it's fascinating that she still doesn't, you know, she doesn't abandon the scientific language. She just shows she connects the dots.
right.
Basically, yeah.
You know, and you brought up something really good, and it again ties our two works together. Like you said, rain dances. That's about a vibration. You know what I'm saying? One that's audible, excuse me, one that's audible and one that's also made with the feet. You know what I'm saying? You have chants that are done, you know, again, people coming together, all doing the same thing with the same intention to bring the rain or to stop the rain or to help the crops or to heal somebody. And I'm like, this is what she said, this is what Mother Teresa meant when she talked about us forgetting that we belong to each other. This is how we heal together. You know what I mean? So and using the natural medicine, the natural ways of the earth. The earth shows us everything we need. Everything we need to learn is right there in nature. It's inside of us already. You
Yes.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I really like the fact that, and again, I want to be clear with everyone. When I was when talking about these books, a lot of times I won't quote the work directly. I'm giving you my perspective and what I found from this book. So I always tell people to please go in and take a look at that, because surely there's much more to it than what I'm saying. You know, I didn't write the book. I'm just I just see the places where, you know, the work is very relevant and ties to very applicable metaphysical practices that, you know, something, well, should I say it ties to metaphysical practices that allow for applicable steps to do what it is we want to do. You know what I'm saying? So this work for me, and working in the land and being out in the land and working with these farmers. Like, for example, my first year I worked with bee farmers, and, you know, learning about bees at a deeper level, it really helped me think about and understand better when they say, if there's no more bees, we dead.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I really, like, you can say that and then you can understand that. And that was the difference for me. I went from knowing the saying to understanding why. And and in that understanding why, it made me now think differently about the bees, made me interact differently, made me more conscious and aware of what I'm doing out in nature. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, flowers are pretty and we can pick them, but guess what? I just took a flower from a bee that needed it. I didn't need to take that flower. I could have just enjoyed it in the moment. It was pretty, left it there, and left it for the bee to pollinate. See, it starts to change you because you begin to care about the earth. It's just like when a child learns about garbage, throwing garbage on the ground, and you tell them how this is hurting the system. Now when they get ready to throw something on the ground, or they see something on the ground, they pick it up because they start to care. They start to understand, this is my land, this is my community. Same thing happens with our bodies. When we really start to understand that this is our body, this is our temple, we ain't putting no garbage in it. Why am I gonna put garbage in the temple? Exactly. What's happening? You know what I'm saying? Why am I mistreating the temple? And when you start to understand that, connect that to the land, you want the land around you to be fertile too. You want it to be intelligent. You take the intelligence of the land and you up it. And that's like, again, becoming self-aware. That's one of the greatest things that happens during this journey. That's what this journey is about, becoming self-aware. So like I said, Ecology of Care, y'all, like a technical book, but a great one for those who really are, again, studying the quantum side of it, the physics side of it, the metaphysical side of it. You'll see that this crisis with this water that we're having, the crisis with the economy, the crisis of consciousness with people, and moral compass, all these things we can change. We can change when we change it inside of the ecosystems that we have ability to touch. And again, we can change it with what you were talking about, that resonance, us all being on the same page at the same time, wanting the same thing. You feel me? So I think it's a beautiful book, and I'm glad that I was gifted it, and I'm glad that I had an opportunity to work so intimately with the people who had a part in putting the book together.
I agree. That is certainly a beautiful book right there, and something that we all need, because you do well by the earth treats us well, just like we treat the body well. Our body treats us well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Make all the sense in the world. But you know what did you say when you were starting your offering? You have the sometimes the habit of taking a book and reading it, knowing that it's valuable, and not applying it. Same thing with the rest of us. I'll take you one better. I was telling somebody I went and I bought this this tincture, and it's supposed to help with something that I really needed it with. Bought it and didn't even use it. Was still going through the problem. Had the tincture, didn't even use it.
Wow.
And it's like, what it was that about? You know what I mean? So again, that self-care, that self-awareness. Now, here's what would happen if for a person that's self-aware. What was it? Why did I buy this item? What was my intention? Why haven't I used it? What am I afraid of? What am I avoiding? Like, you start to ask questions that take you deeper. You know what I'm saying? So you can clear out those blockages like we were talking about. Clear it out of there. The things that stand in the way of your own healing. Whatever that be, financial or otherwise. Financial, spiritual, emotional, physical, it doesn't matter. You know, it's things that we could be applying that we don't, and we have to ask ourselves, why aren't we? You
Yep.
know, and you might have to ask yourself more than once.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you may have to ask this, and sometimes you won't get an answer.
Yeah. And
You know,
it's you know, similar to it's and you know, there's some questions and maybe some preconceived or deep rooted issues or questions you got to ask yourself too, just like the questions about, you know, from my offering about the relationship, about attracting the ideal person that fits within your resonance. Like, are you, you know, do you have certain conceptions about what healing is? You know, and I'm going back to the tincture example. You know, or do you have certain ideas about healing or conceptions about healing, or what deep down you have a feeling of what it should look like or what it shouldn't look like. You know, all of these things can infect or impact your decision to use the tincture or not use the tincture, or to me go back and take my time with the book and actually apply the solutions and the strategies. And so yeah, it definitely causes you to hold up a mirror to yourself and to go within to get those answers.
well, you know, I'll add on and say it's about what we were talking about. The brain and the heart is what you feel. How do I feel about healing? How do I feel about
Yeah,
this tincture?
exactly.
Do I think this tincture is not going to work? That's why I ain't even bothered to take it. Did I already get that preconceived notion in my head? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, oh,
Mhm.
trust me, can't nobody grill me down like I be grilling. I be
Yeah,
grilling me
I
down,
do.
yo. I be grilling me down. Cause I'm like, you know, you can lie to everybody else, but you cannot lie to yourself. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? You cannot lie to yourself. And so, you know, if we truly, you know, are gonna take all the benefits from this journey and all these wonderful books that we've read, this research that our peers have done and that our forefathers and mothers have done, if we're gonna take advantage of this and use it, you know, this is where we do, and you will go deeper and deeper and deeper, and you will see that we belong to each other and we are one, and that all of this is connected, you know. And like you said, we treat the earth well, it'll continue to sustain us, because at this rate we're not going to,
Right.
you know. I just was talking to some of the farmers just a few weeks ago. The crops are not going good right now.
Mm.
We haven't had enough consistent weather for certain things to do well up
Mm-mm.
here. Tomatoes is one of the things that's suffering up here,
Wow.
you know. So we just they had the lettuce, and it's just, yeah, we got to do better by the land.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, we have to do better by the land. I mean, what are we going to eat? You know what I'm saying? What are we
Yeah.
going to eat? I mean, we got to take better care of the water. What are we going to drink? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Because we don't want to eat that laboratory made stuff because that's
I mean, I don't be trying to be funny, but I be saying, like, people do know that we need it. It don't need us.
mm-hmm.
Like, lettuce don't need us. Tomatoes don't need us.
Yeah. Don't
Sweet
yeah.
potatoes don't need us. We
Mm.
need them. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, y'all can sit around here and act like you don't care if you don't what you want. You don't eat. What you gonna stop eating?
Yeah. Right.
So if you want to continue to eat into the future, you might want to care about where the food coming from.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You might want to speak up a little bit. Do
Mm-hmm.
something. You
Yep.
know, because I'm gonna tell you like this. People are people are up for a rude awakening if they not already trying to shake this slumber, because it's really, and that's no fear mongering there. It's evident, like you said, they already making 3D food. So what else is they gonna do? You know what I mean? I'm sure we know about the microplastics. I'm sitting here drinking water from a plastic container that I'm sure got microplastics in it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's like when we covered that book, Food Politics. It talked about the benefits of, again, keeping the food substandard and keeping the people sick. And it always goes back to the what? Pharmaceutical companies. Always go back to greed. That's always what it go back to.
Yep.
And our answer always has to be, and we go back to nature.
Yeah.
So
foundation.
That's the foundation. The ecology of care, the basics, the ecosystem.
The basics.
Keeping it right. Yeah. Well, that's what I got, Nick. Man, this week was a good one, man. I enjoyed that. And that book, like I said, I've never heard of that author. 60 offerings he got about. I am anxious to see what other topics he addresses. And in this book, Ecology of Care, like I said, great book. And I suggest people put it on their shelves, keep it there as a good reference book. And just know that in her body of work, she covers a lot of things that for those who think deeply, they'll be able to truly pull some really good tips and pointers and information out of there. Who knows, maybe write your own paper. Again, this should inspire you to not only, do some things, with the physical part of it in terms of the working on the body and stuff, but also, your writing, it might inspire you to write a paper or book yourself on, how you see the ecosystem and maybe some solutions. Just remember, everybody's voice is important. Nobody's the expert on this. We haven't gone through this before, so everybody can speak up.
That's right.
So this is the first time we going through this, so nobody's the expert. So share your thoughts, share your work. You may save all of us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You may save all of us. So that's my offering for this week, Nick. I have had a really good time. I feel great. And now I want to get off and read some. I want to do some reading.
Right.
I want to do some reading now. I want to do some reading now. But as always, y'all, we thank you for being here with us on UnRead. I'm going to let Nick take us on out of here.
All right. Yes. Thank you for joining us for another edition of UnRead Book Review with Nick and Roo. And we will see you again. Well, maybe. Maybe we'll see you on July 25th. Yeah. I'm saying a maybe because it is summertime, so
things be happening.
It is Saturday, so if we don't see you on July 25th, we'll see you the next time, whether that's on a special edition sometime in this month or August. But
absolutely.
Yes. Thank you for watching. Take care, everyone. And go, let us know what you're reading in the comments. As always, let us know what you're reading, what you're adding to the list. We want to know, so we look forward to seeing you all next time. Peace.